Welcome to Aussie Lawn Stars.
When you enter the dungeon, people are interested, and particularly because we don't get a lot of female gardeners in the dungeon, it's always more interesting. I think there were several people that accused me of inappropriate behaviour by asking you to enter the dungeon.
Right. Yes. Okay. Look, I will say there is a couple of ladies I'll shout out to that I
Yeah,
did actually post this on a ladies page
nice.
that had the longer version of what happened. You guys got the short and sweet. You guys don't want to read paragraph after paragraph, but the ladies like to know it all.
Yep.
So there were a couple of ladies that actually suggested posting it on LMCA,
Yeah.
uh, which was a bit of a giggle. It's already been done.
Yeah.
And then once we said about the dungeon on the page, I'd gone back and said interview on Monday, and they were like, yes, finally a lady.
Nice.
We're happy to have a chick around sometimes, aren't we?
Look, I my house is a older house. It's had several renovations and add-ons done, and the result is one of the bedrooms doesn't have an external wall for the house. It's got a window that looks
Right.
into another room. And so
Yeah.
my dungeon is totally internal in the house, which means nobody can hear you scream.
But who is watching from the other side?
Oh, yeah, no. So there's no psychological experiments happening in this dungeon. This is purely grass torture.
Well, we all love that. So,
Yep.
look, we've been having a bit of fun lately, but as we all do, I guess.
Yeah.
But I guess I've written a post recently that's had a few people giggle, and
Yeah, for
uh,
sure. It
um,
certainly caught my attention.
I think it was because there was a lizard involved that may have been larger than it was presumed, and I think that's what caught the amusement. But
You got to love those ones.
yeah, look, we've it's still an ongoing saga. Actually,
Yeah.
I'm actually yet to be paid for this job.
Oh no.
So, suggestions would probably be welcome on ways to get that to happen now.
Yeah, you need to play the psychological mind game of I've got a bigger
Oh,
one than you, and
it's an interesting one. Obviously, we've had a bit of a awkward run in, and I obviously
yeah,
thought things were fine,
yeah. Who
but
pays the bill?
so Sue, the wife,
Oh,
she actually pays the bill. Who I've never met,
yeah,
but and I'm not. I am the worst person to work for a schedule.
yeah,
I can book. I don't book for times. I book for days. I'll
yeah,
be there on Friday. Sometimes I don't necessarily book. I know the customers are ready to go, and
yeah.
if I'm around, I'll go. I send them their either message or invoice, however I'm working with them, and just say,
Yep.
"Hey guys, I was around today. This was done. This is how much you owe, and the money's in my account the next morning."
And that's the nature
Um,
of working as a solo business, where you're the face and the person doing the labor, is that you build
yeah,
a relationship with the customer. So I know a lot of people get on their hobby horse about this and say, no, you've got to treat this like it's a business. You can't have a relationship with the customer. It's purely, you stick to a schedule. I will be there at 9 a.m. and this is what's happening. And it's like, no, a lot of us have customers that treat us as family. And,
it's exactly right. You know, I have only been in this business for 3 years. Um, Coming in here was somewhat an accident,
yeah,
and I'm still here, and I've got a great customer base. And look, some customers are very much a huge part of my life now.
Yeah.
I've had customers pass on me that have absolutely devastated me
Yeah.
because I am someone that enjoys a chat, and I don't mind rocking up to old Joe's house and having Joe tell me about his wife from 50 years ago 10 times over because he
Yeah.
forgot he told me last week. And,
Yeah.
that's what I enjoy doing, and I love to do that.
I've had that situation
And
happen to me recently as well with a
sorry to hear.
customer. Well, no, it's not affecting me like that at the moment, but the
Mm,
customer is one I'd served several years ago, and he was very particular about what things needed to be done. And the reason he was so particular about why things needed to be done that way is because his wife was the gardener,
yep.
and she had propagated her own plants in the garden and done a lot of work in the gardens. And so he was enforcing on the contractors, this is how it needs to be done because my
Yes.
wife's the gardener and she's very particular about these things.
Yes.
I got a message from her,
Oh.
and I hadn't done any residential jobs for 2.5, 3 years. Got a message from her, can you do my lawns? And I was like,
Mm,
I don't think she knows who I am, but I know who she is.
right.
So I asked somebody else. I said, "Oh, you want to take on a really good residential customer in my area? I don't have the capacity to take them on, and unfortunately, couldn't get somebody else to do it." So I was like, "I'm going to go around there, have a look at the quote, and chances are, after I've looked at the quote, I'll be able to go to another contractor and say, hey, you cannot pass this customer by. They are one of the best customers you can have." But I get there, and her husband's passed away, and she's unable to look after the gardens and the lawns herself.
Mm-hmm.
And price was no object. It's not about the money. It's about making sure that it's done the way she wants it
Mm-hmm.
done. Just making sure that somebody actually turns up, does some weeding, does some mowing, looks after
Yeah.
the gardens, and helps her feel like they're still worth what they were worth when she could look after them.
That's right. That's right. One of the biggest things I've learned over time too, of going to new customers' homes and so forth, and uh, starting work there, my probably one of my first questions is anything in this yard here sentimental?
Yeah.
Because you snip around and you're snipping around some tree and you're hitting the base on it and you're not really caring.
Yeah.
And that lemon tree was planted by, Uncle Tom
Yeah.
55 years ago. And, it's those little things that do make the big difference.
Yeah.
And
That's right.
these particular customers actually one of the good ones. I also, customers go away on holidays. So I'll happily go and feed their pets. Obviously, I know their pets from going around and mowing and so forth. So,
Yeah.
there's no issues on how I access the yards and things. So it's one of my pleasurable little great. Most of my customers have pools. I'm not lucky enough to have a pool at home. So it's, jump in the pool quickly, and they all know I do that, and the kids do that. And, we have our own little fun time at their house while they're having a fun time on holidays.
Yep.
I've got customers that I Facebook message or I'm even Facebook friends with.
Yeah.
And still they are my customer, and it's still here's the dollars and the job's done. But how are you? Congrats on the baby, and are we feeling okay? And is there anything I can do to help? Because I
Yeah.
think that's probably why I'm still in business at the moment. I'm in the Reef of Western Sydney, Penrith.
Penrith. Yep.
Yeah, Reef. So we've got a demographic out here that, you know, the money is not free. It's not freely thrown around by
Yeah.
people to say, sure, come and do my lawn for $150 and not question why you're there for, 40 minutes for $150.
Yeah.
Because that's probably a big another subject, but dollar per hour in this area is something that you would never ever go near, because you
Yeah.
say to someone, I'm okay, I'll break it down for you. I'm worth $97.50 an hour, and they go, oh well, I only earn $22.50 an hour.
Yeah.
So it's that whole world that we live in out here. We had COVID happen,
Yep.
and we are at the base here. We've got the Nepean River, which absolutely broke banks and flooded everywhere, and
Yeah.
it's quite a difficult area to work in. But it is the people. I started, and I've lost not only a handful of customers from when I first started. The rest I still hold on to.
Yeah.
They all know that they get Laura startup rates, and nice and cheap, but I still give them the job that I give my new customers, where I've learnt what I'm doing, and
Yeah. And
my
charge a higher rate.
my 3 years of training.
Yep. On the job training?
On the job training, for 3 years.
Yeah.
I still couldn't tell you. I can look at different grasses and know things. I still can't tell you the name of a certain grass, and I'm not a how you going brilliant horticulturist, but I love what I do, and
Yeah.
I love my customers, and yeah, this particular time around, I think I may have gotten a little bit too involved in a customer's world.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. So
yeah. So that how much do we want to share on the podcast about this?
look, I'm right to retell the story of how it happened on the day, and it is quite interesting. And I'll keep the swear words to the
Look, you can
beeps.
use the swear words if you really need to use a swear word. I think I picked up the right Stander Eye 42-inch demo machine. It backed into my black van and looked rather cosy in there. Once using it, I found it nice and nimble and really easy to manoeuvre. Being small, agile and light means that moving your body weight around really gives you increased traction on the drive wheels and turning ability in tight spots. The Aero Core deck delivers a great cut, and I'm about to test it with the Catch Pro. You hear that?
Oh, well, I've been such a good girl this whole time. I didn't realise you had the beep thing. I'll just start talking normally then.
It sounds more natural if I beep it out rather than you trying to edit yourself.
Cool. All right, we're on it.
So I would hazard a guess that most people like yourself or myself in business approach a customer with a level of respect and professionalism. You're not actually out there trying to flirt with a customer or trying to hit on them.
Oh
But
my God.
they don't always read it the right way, do they?
No, personally, I'm 40 years old.
Oh, you're young.
And yeah,
I'm 46.
I'm a spring chicken. Are you, old coot?
Yeah, getting
So
grey.
oh, so am I. So I'm 40. I the I suffer now a serious carpal tunnel. So I've moved
Yeah,
over to battery gear. I'm starting on battery gear now to
very
give
good.
myself a little bit of a break.
Yep.
So I'd love some free battery gear anywhere if it wants. Anyway, so I'm not that beautiful little skinny model girl. I'm a decent size and I'm strong. But my God, I'm freaking friendly.
Yeah.
However, I am exactly the same level of friendliness to a male as I am to a female.
Yeah.
And there I am probably, if I was communicating with the lady of the relationship, I'll probably be very cheeky about things that I would say, because
Yeah.
a woman would get it and ha ha ha, I can say that.
Yeah.
But when I communicate with the man of the relationship, I actually am somewhat very, hey, how you going? We'll be
Yep.
there, and sort that out.
Yeah.
And, it is a lot shorter in that sense. So
Yeah.
definitely I'm not out flirting with anyone. I do have a partner that, I've called him on this day and was in absolute hysterics of not
That
knowing
would have
what.
been an interesting phone call.
Oh, look, it's just like, what's going on? I couldn't, I called my mum. I was doing that like the whole, I actually don't even know how it all happened.
Yeah.
So, look, it's been, through 2.5 years now, I've been servicing this property.
Okay. It's not a new
I
customer then. They know
It's
you.
not a new customer. However, I've never met her face to face in
Yeah.
this time, and I've only ever seen him once at the beginning when I went round to quote the house, and then the first time I looked after the animals,
Yeah.
he'd, this is where I keep all the stuff.
Yep.
And this is a fortnightly customer for 2.5 years. Through winter, they moved to a 3-week cycle.
Yeah.
Not even a 4-week or longer. They moved to
So
3 week through
they've
winter.
treated you well and they've trusted you. They've built a relationship with you to get you looking after the animals and to do that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. The week before last, so this happened last week, the week before that, the husband had messaged me, the wife was coming up, she's coming up to a holiday. So can I build a new garden bed for her?
Oh, yeah.
So that she can enjoy the flowers and things, because he's all excited that she's going to have a relaxing holiday by the pool.
Yeah.
And sure, no worries. So I built this beautiful garden bed, beautiful plants, and I just sent all done today and sent the bill. And thanks so much. Came back on the message, and payment came from the wife's account that night.
Yeah.
It's not, his account and her account, like it comes from her name, so I could only
Yeah.
presume she would pay that.
Yeah.
So she knows. I mean, I've sent them a photo on message before when I was at their house, swimming in their pool.
Yeah.
When they were on a cruise, and he wrote back saying, Sue's in hysterics, she can see the dog in the background. So she has obviously seen a photo, like, I'm not unknown as a female gardener. But
and there's a level of trust she's had there to know that you're using the swimming pool, and she hasn't called you out, she hasn't had a go at you there.
Not at all. Not at all. I couldn't even tell you if anybody's home anytime I go there. I don't knock. I don't look in their windows, I'm a very, I'm coming, I'm coming. Place is done. If you're home, my mum has a gardener that, she's like, oh, God, he's here. Just keep talking to me on the phone while he's here, so she doesn't have to go out and see him. People don't want to talk sometimes.
And that's often common when there's a female alone at home and a male gardener. Then like, I don't want them to know I'm home alone.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So I just go and, do my thing. So I can only guess at some point in 2.5 years, you would have thought she would have been at home and seen me
Yeah.
to know what I look like. On the other side of things, we've also got a neighbour of Sue and Michael that and I'm not holding back their names because they owe me money. Shame. So we've also got their neighbour who obviously a bit of a Mrs. Mangle in the sense of things, is seeing my car pull up for the last 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And I have changed vehicle in the last 2.5 years too. So, that would have been a big shock. But my car, coming on such a schedule every 2.5 weeks or, and also when she knows they're not home, this car's actually there daily. Like, surely it would be who's looking after your animals? Oh, my gardener.
Yeah.
It's such a weird. Anyway, so I was at this customer's house last week, and it is an elevated property. So I was down in the garden bed. I love weeding. That's my thing. I can't handle weed anywhere.
You can come work for me if you love weeding.
Oh God, it's and it's such a satisfying feeling. There's so many places where someone would just go and dump a ton of chemicals and kill something, whereas I'm just like, I don't care if I have to come back and work for near nothing. I'm happy to pluck those little weeds out. So I was down, in concentration mode with my little weeds. And I heard a car screech around the corner and floor it up the road, and sort of had a giggle to myself like, my God, it's middle of the day, bloody hoons. And this car then pulled into the driveway of my customer's home. And I was sort of, even when my customers pull up, I don't stand up and go, hey, like, just they're doing their thing. Just they'll know I'm there. They can see my car, whatever.
Yep.
So I just do
their
my
business
thing.
and you do yours.
Yeah, if they want to come and see me, they can come see me. Like, half of them won't because, like, they see the sweat pouring out of every crevice of mine. Quite embarrassing. But this lady, who I've obviously never seen, jumps out of the car and goes flying into the house. And I was just like, oh, okay, whatever. Someone's in a bit of a mood. So, thinking to myself, I've really got to, I'm not going to sing out loud or anything here. Like, maybe, a few Coolio songs or something sung in there or whatever. So I thought I'll keep to myself a little bit more. And when it was a few more minutes, I went to oh God, I went to twaddle out to the backyard because there was still green waste from the garden that I'd built the week before. And so I thought I'd better go chuck it in. We're in Penrith Council, so we get a green waste bin. How good's that, right?
Nice.
So chuck it in the bin, no worries. But like, I seriously had just shut the gate. And I was like, oh. Oh God. So this window beside my head absolutely flew open. It was, when the window's like thrown open, it does that like something near cracked sound.
Yeah, sounds like it's about to shatter.
And this lady's head just comes out the window, and she just starts. It was, this is where your beeps is going to have to go. But
that's all right. It's all in the name of telling the story.
All I got was this. oh, you're my husband. I knew it. This is, and I got every single name under the sun. And I stood there sort of in that gobsmacked mode, and I looked over my shoulder thinking, like, surely, like, there must be someone that's just snuck out of their house, pulling up their pants, running behind me or something, and I've been stuck in crossfire.
Yeah.
No one there, and I've just turned, and no, she was really yelling at me. And
that's crazy.
it wasn't even the yelling of I'm cranky. It was like yelling of a psychopath. Like it was full on, like, looking back, I'm like, oh my God, like she didn't come home with a gun or something. Like it was that mental. But yeah, like I got, everything. It was I'm the that's having an affair with her husband. And so I'm sort of coming to in that mode of no, and I'm just like, no, and she kept going, and I just had to, oh, sake, Sue, I'm your partner. And she went to yell, and she's just done this, what? And I went, I'm your gardener. And like her face, it was just like this washover of white. And she just started bawling her eyes out. And like, here I am, like, just like, holy crap, you're actually, is, no, oh my God. So anyway, she sort of disappeared, and it was a good minute. I'm just sort of like, I didn't even know whether I should go around the pool area and pick up these green wastes. Like I just stood there doing this whole, holy shit, what do I do? Do I, I only communicate with him. Like I can't message and go, like, I actually had no idea. Anyway, she ended up coming out, and she's like, I'm so sorry. You're Laura, are you? And I was like, I'm presuming you're Sue, but yeah, I am. Like, shit. And she was just like, oh my God. So as it turned out, lovely Mrs. Mangle next door had obviously had enough of writing down how often my car was there, and certain things that I was saying in her backyard. And it was time for Sue to know about the affair that Michael was having. So Mrs. Mangle called Sue at work and let her know that hubby is having an affair, and the lady is there now. There was a few questions apparently from Sue, which were answered. I've written things down of stuff that they've said, and so we had a comment in there of a hey baby that I often say when I walk into the backyard. Yeah, so that's normally what I say to Milo the dog when I walk into the backyard. Hey baby. As I'm giving him big scruffies and cuddles, and as he's kissing my face and so forth. Yep, great.
Yeah.
We had an example of, oh, I love you. And lots of love comments, which I can only presume would be to the cat. because it's the one cat that actually I have to pick up and move away from my snip. Like, she'll just sit there. Cats normally disappear, but she's just
a neighbour can hear you saying "I love you" over the whippersnapper.
Yeah. Well, this is my thing. Okay, that neighbour has heard me say these things, but he's not transferring that she's also hearing a whippersnipper and a blower and a mower and whatever else happening.
Did you say her last name was Mrs. Meddle?
Mrs. Mangle. Do you know Mrs. Mangle she was from Neighbours? Did you ever watch Neighbours?
Oh, it's a long, long time since I've watched
if you don't know Mrs. Mangle, she was a lady that used to look out of the blinds and everything. She used to know what used to happen with the whole neighbourhood.
Of course.
But I think, in my amusing, Michael had messaged before a holiday, and this is, I think, one of the ones. So this lady's been holding on to this since like Christmas last year. So Michael messaged before they went on to a holiday and said, "Just wanted to let you know we got a new pet." And I was like, "Okay, cool." And he's like, "It's a bit of a weird one for you." And I was like, "Oh, God, if it's a snake, I can't do it." And he was like, "No, it's a lizard." And I was like, "Oh, oh." And he's like, "It's seriously tiny. It's like the size of your palm." And I was like, "Yeah, oh, God, like, okay." Anyway, the very first time, I'm presuming lovely neighbour heard from that, because I remember my reaction being so over the top. When I first saw this lizard, I reacted saying along the lines of, "I didn't expect you to be so big."
Yep.
So that also, or that got recorded as something that I've said to Sue's husband.
Yeah, of course.
Let me tell you, this lizard is not the size of your like, this lizard is the size of my forearm. Like, it was supposed to be some little pygmy thing, but it's like a full proper size bearded dragon. It's not the size of your palm,
Yeah.
So, I had to sit and talk to Sue for a good half an hour, and while she was, and telling me
unwinding.
telling me about the affair that I was having with her husband, according to her neighbour. So the plan, as I was leaving, was that she would deal with the neighbour. In future attending, I said that I will be making bizarre and extraordinary noises every time I visit now. And she said she would deal with the neighbour. I sent my message that night to Michael as per normal, with my price for the day. And also I apologized for anything that, may have been thought of. And he wrote back, "No, our apologies, all good, we'll sort it," which is, normally the message back is, "All good, we'll sort it."
Yeah.
Like, it's the standard response. I think he's got it saved in there.
Yep.
And so now I'm like a week later and I still haven't been paid for the job.
You should send a message to him and just say, "Hey, it was lovely to meet your wife, Sue. There's only one thing worse than being accused of an affair, and that's not getting paid for it."
Well, I think that's got to be because, I've now sent the hey, just wanted to check because I am pretty good on my payments as well with my customers. Like I
Yeah.
do send, I'm pretty nice on, like, I give it a couple of days and then I'm like, hey, I just want to check, is
Yep.
everything all right? Because shit does pop up unexpectedly.
Yeah.
And the majority, like, oh my God, I'm so sorry, I've forgotten. And I get the beep straight away. There's occasions that I'm so sorry, I don't know how to say it. I can't pay you for another 2 days. No
Yeah.
worries, that's fine. And,
It happens.
our relationship carries on.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've sent the, hey, everything all right message. It's been read. And then I've sent a, hey, what's going on? Is there anything I can assist with?
Yeah.
And it's been read, but yeah, now it's
No response.
no response. So I've
Maybe you
now,
need to say, hey, just double checking if there's anything I can assist with. Maybe your lizard.
maybe lizard, maybe bedroom antiques. I don't know. Like now I don't know, did I interrupt a plan of theirs, swinging of some, I don't know.
You've got to
I'm just,
wonder for
yeah.
Sue to be that passionate and that sure that she was about to catch him in the act.
There
That
has to be some type of something going on.
yeah.
There has to, you can't just take a call from someone and just go, oh, okay, there's never been any hint of something, but I'm
Yeah.
just going to run home.
Yeah.
And,
Yep.
like, surely you would be like, what sort of car is it? Oh, okay. Like, I'd been doing an investigative line of work on that one. Like,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
but like, in all honesty, like 5 minutes later, I wear like a singlet shirt and a t-shirt over top for work. So
Yeah.
like 5 minutes later, my t-shirt would have been off, and I was going to be in that pool. Like,
That would
all
have
I'm thinking is like, would Sue have just absolutely flopped on me and like drowned
yeah.
me? Or, if we're in America or what, like some, I'm just taking the gun home and
Yeah.
shooting the
Yeah.
hubby and the mistress. Like, it could have actually been absolutely dramatic.
Mm,
To me, it's dramatic because, I was involved and I'm like
yeah.
absolutely snort laughing about it. Like, I can't
Yep.
even, I've had customers, of all sorts, and,
Yeah.
you knock on a door and someone opens the door and they've got no shirt on or no clothes on, and you're like, oh my God, I think this is the most amazing thing that can ever happen to me. And then you get Sue screaming at you out the window that you're, all sorts of lady of the night.
Yeah.
But,
Time to
so
up that hourly rate.
well, this is right. I think the lovely ladies of the world get paid a little bit more than I might in some lawns. So
That's well.
don't know
If
who's
you're
having more fun though.
yeah, that's
But
right.
that's my little world. So I don't know what's happening. I don't know if I've got to go and still spike the lizard as payment or you know. I
Set that
just
bearded dragon free.
that's my thing. They live quite close to the bushline there, so.
Yeah,
But
there you go.
look, I think, yeah, 3 years into the business, and I've probably been thrown the best perler I'll ever get. I can,
See, that story will stick with you well into your later life.
I think it'll stick with a few people because, like, honestly,
Yep.
going forward, I may have to rethink my customer situation.
Yeah, that's
Such an attractive lady. Maybe I need to be in the world of ladies or something. I don't know.
you could join. I want to give you an update on the Ego commercial pole hedges. The short pole hedger has a fixed head which makes it a lot like the standard handheld hedger, quite nimble and great for shaping small hedges and topiary. The standard pole hedger has the articulating head that I thought I might be able to swap onto the short pole hedger. I've had a closer look and I found that this does not work. Even if you took the liberty to modify the mounting, the articulated lever would catch on the handhold, so it's really not possible, sorry. Overall, both these hedges do a great job on hedges, and I have found the blade speed, shaft drive rather than a direct drive, and the runtime all make for a great commercial package. They are replacing my previous hedges, and they are the best I have used. Leroy.
Leroy. I asked about his gang today, actually.
Leroy's great.
All the soul Christmas parties are about to start happening. You see, I'm planning mine already.
Yes.
My work party. Because me, myself, and we're getting ready for the festive season.
Yeah.
But I close myself down between Christmas and New Year every year.
So you're going to do Secret Santa with the staff?
Yeah. But the problem is that my boss, she's full on, right? And I don't even can never please her.
That's a problem. So
yeah.
maybe you just need to buy her a really good gift.
Well, look, I'm looking at that battery range for her. She's thinking
you need to
that
drop a
might
brand
be
name. What brand of battery gear are you looking at?
I don't know if you can. What if I mention something and then someone says, "Oh, you should have mentioned me." Because
Well, look,
if you had have mentioned me, and then I go, "Oh my god."
yeah.
But no,
I can
look.
see the dilemma there, but surely you've got a preference.
Yeah. I see. I love the ego range.
Well, naturally.
Yeah. That's my. Yeah. Trying to
Yeah.
save it. I've started on the little Ryobi brand. In batteries.
Yeah.
Because it's me, myself, and I.
Yeah.
I work out of the back of my car. I started with a trailer and then realized, why do I need a trailer when I seriously have one lawnmower and one snip and one blower? So, it all goes into the back of my 4-wheel drive and off I go to a customer's house. And, but yeah, so I've gone over to, Ryobi just for the weight of it.
Yeah.
But my God, it's pretty damaging still, even in the battery line. I've copped some of the worst snip random cuts from my Ryobi gear. The line's too long and it snips off, and I've done some wicked cuts and things.
Yeah.
So that's I go to all of their shops and I make them show me all the ego gear.
Yep.
And then I walk out and then I get all the emails from them because I stupidly give them my email address.
Yep.
So, one day.
Yep.
But
now, there's certainly some good battery gear out there now. I've been following battery gear since about 2018.
Yeah.
And it's come a long way. When I first looked, there was very few options that were worthy of being included in the commercial market, and now there's just about every brand's got really good commercial gear.
Yeah, see, I think myself, even in comparison to yourself, my customer base would be a handful compared to someone like yourself, or I couldn't still see the value in a big company, but maybe I'm going to get proved wrong one day. But for my little lovely little, oh my God, I've never done a straighter, more perfect edge than I do on a battery snip.
Yep. There's something about them. They're easier to hold, the less vibrations.
Yeah.
More
It's
precise.
absolutely crazy. Like it's so sharp, and then I get my big petrol snips out, and I'm taking chunks out and looking, going, oh my god, I've got to charge a $30 mo for this. Like, but yeah, they're
Yeah.
really good on this on the edge lines. It's crazy.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but many more years of business hopefully ahead of me.
Yeah.
I'm only 40, so I've got another, what is it, 45 years of working before I'm allowed to retire.
No, no. No, I hope not. Maybe
I
30.
know. Oh, I know, right? Oh,
I would hope
God.
that by the time we hit 70 years of age that we're able to go, no, we've done a lot with the physical expectations of the job, and it's time to take it easy.
I'm gobsmacked at some of the guys that have been around for so long.
Yeah.
My body's torn and ruined after 3 years because I wasn't doing things right. And,
Yep.
I guess that's one thing. Like, I wish, looking back, I wish I didn't just, starting, it was purely, I had been working in an office job. I was office girl all of my
Yeah.
life. And I got let go due to COVID reasons with my children. And so I refused to work for somebody else ever again. I was like, no, screw you. And talking to my
Yeah.
dad, I was like, yeah, let's do, like, you'll help me, won't you? And I did a week of lawns, and my dad actually passed away then,
Oh, no.
unexpectedly and quickly.
Yeah. Yep.
So I was sort of a bit more adamant to make it work then,
Yeah.
to prove something. Look at me, I can do this. Um, so I wish, though, that I had somebody teach me how to do things, how to,
Yeah.
how to hold things properly, how to,
Yep.
recover my body properly, how to look after my equipment.
Yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I had to go to the local lawn guy and say, oh, I can't start my mower. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay, like, put oil in it. And I'm like, oh, like, it's just, that wasn't, case, but,
Yeah.
just that,
Yep. Things
yeah,
you didn't know you didn't, and when you don't know, you don't know. So
yeah,
learning
yeah.
those things
The
changes.
business side of it, I'm great with, that paperwork side and that
Yeah.
I don't even advertise anymore. I haven't advertised in 2 years,
Yeah.
um, which I think is a credit to itself as well.
But the tool experience and the mechanical aptitude to be able to look at what needs to be done to maintain the tools, that
Yeah,
sort of thing. Yeah.
yeah. Like, my God, I could have really changed the way I work a long time ago if I had have known at all.
And
Um,
let's face it, when you go full battery gear, then that reduces the things you'd need to know about maintaining your equipment.
oh, look, mate, I still can't service anything. I've got, like, I don't know what I'm doing half the time. I'm like, someone help me.
Yeah.
But it's got to be done. And sometimes I just go, oh, well, I'll just park this one up and I'll go and buy a new lawnmower. I'm on my, there's 5 out there that I don't know what's wrong with them at the moment. And,
Yeah.
but,
Don't be afraid to ask on LMCA. That has to be the single best resource of anything I've come across in my 13 and a half years being in business.
look, I think I've started to become a little bit more comfortable
Yeah.
on the page. I won't lie, when I first joined the page, and there's so many men
Yep.
because it is such a man's world.
It is.
And I actually, I think it's a learning lesson on my side
Yeah.
that it is a man's world. Like, it's not a, oh well, look, it's an everyone, but like, it is a man's world. And when you can acknowledge
Yeah.
that this is a man's world and you're fighting to come into it, it's a bit easier than going, screw you, men, this is a man and woman's world, because it's really not. Like, it's the men dominate the industry, and there's few and far between us ladies that have successful businesses that can keep going, and maintain the growth and maintain over years. It is, it's never actually going to be a joint industry.
Look,
in that sense,
balance is never about equality. You look at a job like that and you go, okay, equal would be 50-50, but balance is not actually 50-50.
That's right.
Balance is where people, and this is the beauty of an industry where you start your own business to be in the industry, is you get to see who chooses to participate.
Yeah.
Whereas in a industry where a large corporation chooses who they employ, they get a little bit of pushback and they get told they've got to employ 50% of men and 50% of women, or 50% of people from one ethnicity and 5% from another ethnicity. And it's an unbalanced way to do the job.
Yeah. Yeah. But, I think acknowledging that, it is, coming onto LMCA, you can get offended as a lady sometimes. You see the posts that go, "Hi, guys. What do you think, lads?" And that sort of thing. And you can see the new female members that will be, on the answer back of, "There's women in here too," and that sort of thing. So I
think we need that every now and then. I don't want to promote women out there saying we need to push back really hard, but sometimes the men do need to pull back a little bit and go, actually, let's just think before we speak.
I think, the more that the ladies post,
yes,
because the standards between a lady and a man are, well, the ladies actually are so much more pedantic. We're so much better than you boys.
I was saying to you before we started recording, my best employee ever, who I'm currently trying to convince to come and work for me again, is a female girl. She is better than any of the guys that I've had work for me.
Yeah, we're bloody awesome. We're reliable and we do such a pretty job. I think if I know myself, it's taken me however long it has been to start actually posting on LMCA, for the fear of seemingly asking a question as a female. So, it's I've had to acknowledge that this is a male industry and you're bloody good at what you do. So you just ask, just speak. And, I think you don't really need to do the pushback on, "Hey guys, I'm not just lads, it's the girls in here," because the more people that see the ladies post and they realize, oh, there's, females in here. I think that's what's needed, the removal of the fear of.
To be fair, when somebody says, "Hey guys," they're not being they're not trying to say we're only talking to men. It is a generic term, and most of the time there is no offense meant. It is simply a generic term that's like, "Hey guys, girls," whatever word you want to throw in there. It's just, "Hey people."
Honestly, it's when you first come into it and you're like you're thrown all of those. I can tell you I don't let many customers go. I might walk in and do a one-off job and I'm never coming back. But
we all have those.
I've let customers go when I have felt offended, where I'm picking up my mower and putting it into the back of my car and a male comes out of the house after I've just mown his lawn for him. And he says, "Do you need help to pick that mower up and put it in your car?"
Yeah.
That's where I go, I'm never coming back, because, wow, you're happy to have a female come and mow your lawn, Mr. Man.
Yep.
But you want to offer to pick the mower up because she may not be strong enough. Whereas I'm like, I'll pick this mower up and smack it over your head, mate. Like, it's no problem. But there is that. You've got to, there's such a fear, and like LMCA, I'm loving it. There's obviously there's some certain characters on there that, oh my God, there's some random ones too. I swear to God, like, I don't even know if they're like fake profiles just causing or what, but like sometimes you go, how are you actually still in business?
Oh yeah, there's some strange stuff that comes through, definitely. And
so it's all a lesson too, because you look at it and you just go, wow, like, how people respond to their customers. Every time I read messages that people send to and from their customers, I'm like, wow, I'm going to take something from this, or wow, I'm so not taking anything from that. So I've learnt some awesome communication from some of the guys on there. Sorry, guys being men and ladies, but that's the thing, guys.
yes.
And
the other thing is, when you look at a group of guys, girls, and everybody who's involved in a job or in an industry which is of a very technical nature, you're going to attract people who are very technically minded, regardless of their gender. And people who are very technically minded are not always as polished with their social skills.
Yeah.
So you're going to get people who are obsessive about how to cut a straight edge, and people who are obsessive about how to maintain their mowers, and they're going to give you a hard time because you don't know how. And then you're going to get other people who are obsessive about how to relate to a customer, how not to relate to a customer, and how to keep it professional. And these people, because they're so technically minded, they can't see past their own nose when they say, I'm right and you're wrong.
Yeah.
And I'm guilty of doing that sometimes myself.
Look, the thing is, generally, I'm generally right. Like, that's the thing. Like, let's be honest. I'm 99.9% of the time right.
Of course.
So it is hard to see some things. But no, look, I think, in all honesty, it's probably one of the there's a few of these lawn pages around now, but it's the one that's got the information on it. It's the one that's more solid and rounded in.
Yep. Well, I give value to two groups that are Australia wide. LMCA's got the most members, so you're going to get the broader spectrum of people looking at it and answering it. The Australian Professional Contractors page seems to have gone a little bit quieter. It's always had less members, but it seems to have gone a little bit quieter just at the moment. But the other value that I would throw out there is local groups. So in my area, there is a couple of Newcastle contractor pages, and they're really valuable. And I've talked to people on this podcast, 121 interviews I've published.
Right.
And there are groups all over Australia. So there's a West Australian one, there's a Cairns and Atherton one. The Newcastle ones are the ones that get my attention for local stuff. So if I want to find out about a particular interest that's coming around Newcastle or the Central Coast, I'll go to that group instead of going to LMCA. But for questions that you want to get a really broad spectrum of people answering and good advice, LMCA, the best one to look at.
Look, I don't know if I'd probably get too much, I'd say, from any local groups from around this way. There are some really decent contractors around.
Yes.
And it's awesome to see their work. And, as any area, there's some really douchebag contractors around. Some that I'm surprised are still in business, but,
Can we call them cowgirls as well as cowboys?
Look, there have been a few cowgirls, but, I think even most of these cowboys are actually, cowgirlish anyway.
It's a slightly different connotation, isn't it?
It is. It is.
Maybe we should make it stick.
You're a cowgirl.
Yep, that's it.
I'll throw that around a few times. I can get that going.
Sounds good. I'll help get that one going.
Yeah, all right. That's the name of the podcast, isn't it? You're a cowgirl.
Yep.
But look, yeah, I as I said, like I haven't advertised in a good 2 years now. I've got my customer base and I increase from that verbally on
Word
their
of mouth.
recommendations.
Good.
And I'm flabbergasted that people still, after years in business, still require to jump onto, local individual suburb pages and, oh, yeah, I can get to you today to do work for you. I just sit there thinking, I don't get it. How is your business structure not booked out? Like, how can you not?
Yeah.
And I think that's a worrisome thing around here. Like, I can see a lot of businesses failing just from that. And I wish there was, some type of business leadership program that some of these guys could go on.
That would be good, wouldn't it?
They do bloody awesome work, but they just, they can't keep their customers for some reason.
I think the problem there is that business leadership programs are out of reach of cowboys and cowgirls.
Yeah, true.
They are aimed at the next level up, and you either acquire those skills by hard work or you recognize that you need to take a big leap to get to that next level up. So the information is out there. You can actually get some pretty good information from LMCA when it comes to business leadership issues.
Yeah.
And it's worth asking questions like that there, because you'll find there's always going to be the guys on there who are going to trash talk any sort of question like that. But you can pretty quickly work out who you listen to and who you don't listen to.
Yeah. And I think, I found that out over the time as well, which has been useful for me. But, if we're all contractors in our own way.
I want to interrupt this sticky situation to talk to you about my friend Prez Madley. You may remember him from a couple of interviews that we've done together, but Prez has started his own coaching business, coaching businesses. So if you think your business could use a little bit of help, Prez is happy to take you through the basics that I talk about all the time, through to the finer technical details that he talks about. You can contact him via email, thinktankcoaching@outlook.com.
Definitely. So, it'll be nice for us all to succeed. I've got, a couple of girlfriends in the local area that are in the same business.
Nice.
So there is a few women around.
Yeah.
Now, as I said, I posted on a ladies' page this same story of psycho neighbor and husbands and affairs and things, and ladies were, oh great, you're gonna go on the podcast. I think it's it's a fun little world, and we all pretty much, well, not we all, but many of us do work on our own, and I think you need to be able to share your work day with somebody. You need to be able to read that someone's just gotten dog shit splattered all over their face.
Or broken another window.
Or broken another window. Yeah, you need to be able to read that so that you're grounded. That we all do random things.
When you see Jake Beard is a window virgin, not anymore.
Yeah. And like it was a few weeks back, I told a customer, can you take your car out of the driveway for me because they've got stupid rocks all in their grass?
No, yeah.
And she says, where do you want to park it? And I go, seriously, go park it on the other side of the road down there. And I pointed. And she goes and parks it down on the other side down there. And I start my snip up. And I was about 5 seconds in. And I just felt the rock hit that snip. And I looked thinking, oh, where's that going? And it was ding on her car where I told her to move it, a house and a half away.
You wouldn't dream of it.
No, it's like, I dead set. I'm the most hilarious. I walk in, like, the hospital knows me as I have problems with walking into all those spiky plants. What are they, agave or whatever?
Yeah.
And like I've had them lodged in my nose, in my forehead, in my eye.
Oh, no.
Like they've had to surgically remove them. Like I do the most random, idiotic things, and it's hilarious because how good is it that happens in your workday? Like, you know what I mean? Like, just not sitting in an office going, oh, yeah, I'm typing that same report. You can go to the same customer's house week after week, but something different's going to happen each time you go there.
I work on one large commercial site pretty much all the time. I'll do a couple of jobs outside of that commercial site, but there's plenty of office workers walk past me, and often the comment is, oh, it's a beautiful day out here. And I was like, yeah, I'd rather be out here than in there. And today it was drizzling this morning, and somebody made a comment about the weather, and I was like, there's about 1 or 2 days a year where I wish I wasn't working outdoors.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't ask them what their thoughts are working in an office and wishing that they were working outdoors.
That's right. That's right. I will say though, my gosh, I've been struggling temperature wise this year. Just being, a 40-year-old woman. But
approaching menopause, and you're probably in the riff, you're probably getting some high 30 days.
Oh, look, well, yes, I was quite unwell actually, and had a hysterectomy this time last year, which took me out for a couple of months, and so now I'm definitely approaching the older fun days of things, and it's this, we like even today we're sitting at 24 degrees, but yesterday we're at 36 degrees, and tomorrow we're probably raining, and I don't know because the weather just doesn't even know what's happening on that day. As with everywhere, but my gosh, I'm struggling. And I actually even wrote a post on LMCA about it not long ago, and had a few responses about, making myself hydrated and, doing this and getting myself this and taking these tablets and that sort of thing. Which, I've taken some of those tips, and, I'm getting through my days now. So
it's really important that we talk about those issues, because I've seen on the groups, plural, where somebody's raised how to look after yourself, how to be healthy when you're lawn mowing contracting. And it's like, I think that is a really important thing to talk about. But a couple of times it's been shot down and people are going, no, this is a contractor's page. Don't talk to me about living healthy and making healthy choices. This is about lawn mowing.
Like, and it is, but my God, if we, if we're not, like I joke, I think I've shared a photo of a chocolate bar as my lunch on there, like how's everyone else's lunch today?
Yeah,
because
it's okay to talk about chocolate bars and KFC, but don't talk to me about health food and drinking water.
Yeah, like that's the reality of some of us. But like we need the ones that are like, hey, you need to meal prep, and you need to, have 4,000 bottles of water, and you can't be,
and make sure you've got electrolytes in every third bottle.
Yeah, right. And like I live on energy drink. I have a good 1.5 liters a day of energy drinks, not sport drinks or anything.
So not Gatorade, but Red Bull.
Yeah, like it's, oh my God. Like, V, Red Bull, Mother, whichever I've grabbed. And oh my God. It's probably why my head's ticking right now, but anyway.
Lovely.
Yeah.
They have that effect.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but again, if I drink too much water, then I need to go to the bathroom.
Yep.
And, I see the posts where, a customer's caught, a guy taking a leak behind a tree. And I'm like, my God, you don't even like if that customer saw me, because like I've got to go for the full bend down straddle, like,
Yep.
And it's really not the most attractive thing when you're in the middle of bloody Mount Druitt trying to, do someone's lawn.
Yeah. So if you're a guy standing behind a tree, you can just be like, "What are you looking at?" But if you're a
Yeah.
girl squatting behind the bush,
Yep.
then
What are you doing?
they're just going to keep on staring, and then you're going to get cranky, and they're going to get cranky, and
Yeah. So there's these whole different levels of what's convenient and
yep.
what's not convenient.
I've had
That's
this
what.
issue come up because I've got a female staff member. I have had female staff member at various points in time, and
Mm,
it's like, you know what, I will go behind a tree somewhere, but if you need to go, give me warning, and we will make sure you can find a real toilet.
yeah. Yeah. Look, I think, I'm going to have to purchase what are they called? It's Shiwi, the Shiwi plastic.
Sheepy.
Yeah, Shiwi, that's it. Like it's a big possibility. But,
You can just stand
stupid.
behind the tree and be like, what are you looking
I
at?
know, I could do that then. The what are you looking at scenario, right? So, yeah, it's all fun and games, but I'm happy doing what I do. I'm a single mum. I've
Yeah.
got 2 kids and I do this for them.
Yeah.
I am the happiest I've ever been in my life.
Yep.
And it is purely from mowing lawns, watching grass grow.
It's good, isn't it? I love playing a few pun jokes, dad jokes, mum jokes, whatever you want to call them, when people
Yeah.
talk to me, and I'm pretty socially awkward, so I've got to use podcasts as an outlet to tell my jokes. But
Yeah.
if I dare to venture into telling a joke, it'd be like, you know what, I hate watching the cricket, I hate watching golf, I can get away with watching tennis, but I'd rather watch grass grow.
Yeah. But you know what? That's my comment to my kids. Like, my daughter's like, oh, can I play AFL this year? And I'm like, I'd rather watch grass grow. And then I'm like, no, actually, I really would.
Yeah.
Like, it's not even like, no, because that sounds negative. Like,
It's not even a
I
joke.
want to watch
It's for real.
grass grow.
It's like, bring on the rain. I want to see that grass grow.
Oh, look, and the weather here at the moment has been so good. We've had rain, seemingly storming of an evening, and the grass is turning green everywhere.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah. I thought who was it the other day that was getting eaten by their hurricane? Oh, that was Leroy too, wasn't it?
That's him. Yep.
The rain was hitting his house.
Leroy's memes are very good.
I know, I spent so too long on them. I'm so impressed.
Yeah.
I struggle. That's why you're not seeing me now, because I can't even get a camera going on a computer. I did spend, probably a few hours loading this app on my phone, even though the button that kept popping up saying this doesn't work on a mobile phone, I kept closing that and saying, why isn't it? Oh, okay, I'll just reload it.
Honestly, it should work on a mobile phone. I've had several people do it from their mobile phone now.
Yeah,
but anyway,
don't with me, because I still use only Facebook. Apparently, Instagram and Twitter. Oh, I don't even know, all these things are the thing. And here I am on Facebook. Like,
there you go.
But,
yeah. So, hey, can we go through a couple of questions, because we've spent an hour and a quarter on this interview so far, and it's been entertaining. But I look at talking to people from all different walks of life and people who have different needs out of their business. So what I try and do now, I'm calling it tech talk. And this is really about helping people to understand your business. And we've already covered some of those things. So we can brush over the things we've already covered. But what I want to do, I don't want to embarrass you or ask you questions you don't want to answer. So feel free to say not answering. But I do want to give people a good idea of what your business looks like. So I know you've mentioned you run out at the back of your four-wheel drive a lot. You do have a trailer.
Not anymore.
Okay.
Got rid of it now.
So you've got your three basic tools that you use most of the time. But you also mentioned you do gardening.
Yes.
So then it's not just the mow, blow, go.
No, but I cannot hedge for the life of me. I tried it for a while and just gave up and said there's people out there better than me at that. So
fair enough.
I'm not going to even focus on it. I am happy to snip branches off things and trim down trees that I can use my suckateurs on. No problem. I will build a garden.
So when you say build a garden, you're talking about doing a garden edge, putting mulch in garden beds, or even turning a lawn or another area into a garden from scratch.
Yeah, so I guess, however they class that in landscaping world, I call it building a garden, creating a garden.
Yeah. Landscape design and construction.
Yeah, see, that's right. It sounds a bit better than building a garden. But even doing that, I run on very basic tools. I will walk away and happily put my hand up and walk away before I won't even quote on a job. I'm not someone that says I'm going to quote 10 times the amount, and if I get it, I'll contract it out or something,
Yeah, you'd rather walk away than embarrass yourself.
Yeah, I cannot do it. And generally, it's seemingly I do these for customers that, I can be working at for a bit, and I'll see the fact that they've got 50 sandstone blocks thrown in their back corner.
Yeah.
And I go, oh my God, what are you doing with that? Oh, I don't know, it's rubbish. Well, that dead part over there, let me build you something. Like, let me create something there. Yeah, great, no worries.
Yep.
And that's sort of how it goes on from that point.
Yeah. Awesome.
It's very rare that I'll go out and buy a complete setup of I've got to start from here. I have no idea what I'm doing. I couldn't tell you what, if I'm putting the right things down, or if I'm, using, I posted the other day because I use eucalyptus mulch quite a lot. In my gardens. I hate the look of that red bark and all of those things. But a lot of my customers are now popping up with a fungus.
Yes, I saw the fungus
the stinkhorn, the stinkhorn fungus. And that's sort of thrown me in a bit now.
Is that coming from the eucalyptus mulch, do you think?
Well, I'm thinking so, because it's purely, like, I've not seen it anywhere. Yeah. And it was my neighbour that brought it to me first, because I do her gardens. That's my fun at home. Yeah. And she was like, oh my God, what is this thing? It's crazy. And I was like, oh crap, let me Google and, talk to you guys. Yeah. And then I found another customer, and then it just kept popping up, but it's only coming.
You don't see fungus at all when it's really dry, but then you get an overabundance of rain in a couple of days, and all of a sudden you got all types of fungus popping up, whether it's mushrooms or something that just looks totally bizarre and out of a horror movie.
Yeah.
Or an X-rated movie.
Well, that's right.
Some of them definitely come from X-rated movies.
Look, I think this fungus is like, it's this crazy red, awful looking thing. And that's it in its shrunken form. Like, when it's growing, they're absolutely huge, and it's like something's about to suckle you.
Yeah.
So
Pretty creepy.
yeah, so look, I create gardens in that sense.
Yeah.
And yeah, look, I'm a weeder. I love weeding. I cannot get enough of weeding.
Yeah. You are definitely
And
from a strange breed.
yeah, I love those customers that are like, I refuse to use sprays in my garden. And I'm like, yay, like I can come around here and weed all the time.
Yeah.
You
So
know, there's some that I'll, you know, pull the rocks back and I'll replace the weed mat and,
oh yeah.
you know, we, you know, deal with that. But then there's others where I'm just like, no.
Yeah. So, question for you from this perspective. You mentioned that you are 40-ish
Yes.
and that you started so that you had flexibility with your kids.
Yes.
So, how many days or hours are you working? What's your weekly routine look like at this
Yeah.
point?
So I only work Monday to Friday. I don't work weekends.
Nice.
And I take my 9-year-old daughter to school. I drop her to school at 9 a.m.
Yeah.
and I travel from there to my first job.
Nice. So, do you make sure you're home at 3 then?
I'm done by, I schedule myself to finish by 2,
Yep.
to give myself that extra hour leeway.
Yeah.
It's probably once a month I might give, you know, a neighbor a call and say, oh my God, I'm coming down, I'm 20 minutes late.
Yeah.
But other than that, I am my legitimate hours are 10 till 2.
Yeah.
That's the hours that I work.
Yep.
And that's it. I will work after school pickup if, you know, I'm pushing uphill with trying to catch up with things.
Yeah. Okay.
But yeah, I'm pretty, yeah, I get it done. So there's generally, it's, you know,
Yep.
10 to 2, whole 4 hours working.
Yeah.
Some days I may only get one customer done. Some days I get 5 customers done.
Yeah. So, a question around the financial side of things, and again, no pressure to tell us anything that you're not comfortable talking about, but I've often talked about the comparison between how much you would charge per hour, and we don't tell customers an hourly rate all the time, but how much you would aim to make in a day, how much you aim to make in a week, how much you aim to make in a month, and how much you aim to make per year. And I think those numbers are relevant because, particularly in your situation, you're doing 4 hours, 5 days. So you're doing about 20 hours a week compared to some people who are doing 35, 40 hours a week or 60, 70 hours a week when they're pushing themselves to the limits. So
that's right.
you would be aware of what other people are charging based on LMCA. Do you think you're hitting average numbers in terms of hourly rates or what you need to survive? Those sorts of things.
So I live on a, you know, I've basically worked my work into a how much I want to be able to earn.
Yeah.
In that, an hourly rate for someone like me with a push mower and a snipper and a blower is very different to anybody else that even runs 2 lawnmowers and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I run on a day. I want to make sure that on a day I'm walking away. So when I started my business, my profit line I wanted to be at $170 a day.
So profit after expenses.
After expenses. That was how
Yeah.
I started my business, going, oh, you need to make $170 after everything.
Yep.
And when I'd mention that to people, they'd be like, what the hell? Like, that's hardly anything. And I'd be like,
But
well,
it's
I
for a
only
4-hour
work,
day.
yeah, I work a 4-hour day.
And to be fair,
And
if most
so,
people actually add up an 8-hour day and say double that, so you're going up to $340 profit for a day, for an 8-hour
mm,
day, that's decent profit. Most people would be struggling to manage that sort of profit margin.
yeah. So I ended up, I sat with a friend who, pretty much told me you've set yourself there at $40 an hour, basically, that, is that where you want to be?
Yeah.
I like look at it in that sense and so I was like, well, I'm not worth $90 an hour, and I'm not, and so I dropped that whole there's no dollar per hour in my world.
Yep.
I couldn't even tell anyone what the go is
Yeah.
in that sense. I aim now, it's I I need to make and I do. I clear $200 a day
Yep.
for my 4 hours,
Yeah.
which is more than achievable in that, you're looking at it's $50 an hour.
That you're
Um,
clearing after you've paid your expenses.
Yeah, that's right. After I've paid my expenses, and again, still, I don't have. I've got my insurance. I've got all of those things that everybody has. We all pay our insurances, in comparison to our business size. So obviously, my insurance costs are a little lower than Joe Blow in $1 million business, but it's all
Yeah.
comparative in that percentage wise of things. So
Yeah.
I pay my fuels. I pay my you know electricity costs. I pay rent, and in that sense of things.
Yep.
And so yeah, I'm coming out, $200 a day. I walk away $1,000 a week.
Yeah. Nice.
Um,
And
and
to compare with other people on that, and we don't want to dwell on the comparison, the thief
yeah,
of joy, so to speak, but we touch on it so that we can be putting that in perspective. There are
yeah,
people listening that will declare that they are running 10% expenses. So if they applied that to you, they would go, okay, $220 a day turnover in order to get $200 profit. Other people say they're running around 40 to 50% expenses, which means they would be turning over around $400 a day to declare $200 profit.
yeah,
So that gives a little bit of perspective, and everyone's different. When you're running a solo business, comparison is often not possible to put it beside somebody else. Sometimes it's clear to go beside somebody else and go, yeah, we're really similar, but often 10 people listening, you're going to have 10 different answers in terms of what
mm,
they aim for with those numbers. But it
yeah,
is good to help people understand what a lawn care business looks like and to be able to share some of these things. So I'm trying to do more
yeah,
and more of that to give people a good idea of what it looks like, what your rig looks like, what your tools look like, what your goals are with business in terms of time and money. And
mm.
that's great to see the insight there. I really appreciate you sharing.
No, that's fine. And I think what people do need to realize is that is running on that 4-hour day.
Yeah.
So 4 hours, you're able to push yourself hard.
Yes.
At the end of an 8-hour day, in some circumstances, you probably shouldn't have worked the last 2 hours,
Yep.
because it's taken you 2 hours to do a 40-minute job, in
Yeah.
the over exaggeration of things.
Yep.
But I'm running at peak, you know, starting, and oh my God, I'm finishing in 2 hours. Like it's
Yeah.
it's a constant push of things.
Yep.
And yeah, look, I'm working. I think I made a comment on a page once about that I earn under GST levels. I make sure, like, I plan to run under GST levels.
Yeah.
And someone was like, well, why? It's, paperwork isn't an issue. But it's more that I go, oh my God, can you imagine working 4 hours a day and earning 70 grand a year? Come on, like
Yep.
it doesn't work like that. If I had absolute chopping gear and I wasn't working in Mount Druitt and, Penrith and Cranebrook and all of these suburbs that they, like, myself included, we all, if we're not working, we're relying on a Centrelink payment.
Yeah, you have to be creative to make ends meet sometimes.
Yeah.
And I'm in a similar area in Lake Macquarie where you can drive from one street to the next and see the complete extremes in society. And it's not fair for me to tell one end of the street, I don't work for you, I only work up the other end of the street.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I need to do that, but
oh my God, I know, right?
It's also recognition that that's what we're working with. We have to work with what's available, and in an area, and this covers most of Australia, you don't get to go, I'm only working for a certain demographic. I'm only working for people that earn over $1 million a year, or I'm only working for people who part with their money without blinking.
Yeah. And, and this is the thing. I'm obviously living in the demographics here of, a lot of us are unfortunate in the financial side of things. But we also have, I've got estate customers. They live on the golf course here in their $1 billion houses, and, they're my winter customers. That's who I go to in winter, and I can charge them my $1,000 for 4 hours work for weeding, because they pay that.
Yep.
So I'm someone who doesn't have a set rate in any way, but I work my customers to make sure that I get that profit each day. So, if someone's a smaller job, I'm not having 5 small jobs in one day.
Yeah.
I prefer to do one job and that's it. But
that's it. Well, look, the tech talk that I want to do, I think has covered a really good snapshot of what you do, what your business looks like. Is there anything else that you want to share in terms of what you do that helps to clarify that picture?
No. I think we've chatted and you get it all.
I think we've done well. We've done an hour and a half, and I think a decent portion was given to the story at the start. But
an ego gear.
Yes.
All right. See how freely I can say it now? No.
That's exactly right. That's it.
Yeah. But no, all good. It's been lovely chatting with you.
Oh, thank you for talking to me, Laura. It's been great. I appreciate your time.
Anytime. There's, plenty of stories we can go through one day. I'll let you all know if I end up getting paid from my lovely customers too.
Yeah, Mike and Sue, I know you're listening to this.
I know, I swear. Yeah, that's it, right? Give it up.
Yeah. Thank you for listening to Aussie Lawn Stars. Please remember to rate and review the show on the Apple Podcasts app or the player you use. Exciting new shows are released every Monday. Make sure you follow or subscribe to hear the next episode.